My name is Zoe, and I was impacted by the 2018 Parkland shooting. The high school where it happened, which is Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, has a neighboring middle school right next to it. So they share a football field. That's how far apart they are. On the day of the shooting, I happened to be sitting outside at my middle school at the entrance facing the street where the shooter entered from. And because I was outside, I was able to hear the shooting happen. I wasn't able to see anything, but I was close enough that I heard everything. And then once I was able to get inside, I was also exposed to like videos of the actual event, and that's how I was impacted. I think that the shooting that I survived has definitely become a big part of my identity and my life as a whole. I survived the shooting in 6th grade. When I was entering 8th grade, I got really involved with March for Our Lives, which was an activist group that was founded by kids at Douglas. I'm kind of moving my sights towards public health research for my undergraduate education, so more towards the research side of things instead of the activism side of things. But I think that my exposure to gun violence led me to want to pursue an academic/research career in that field because I've always been passionate about science, and I feel like it's a way for me to not only help communities like mine heal, but also really help myself heal by knowing that I'm making a difference. In another sense, the fact that I survived a shooting, I got post-traumatic stress disorder from that. And so that for a while was a really big part of my identity, especially when I was first learning how to cope with everything. But now it is very minimally impactful in my life. I still definitely experience symptoms, but it's very manageable right now. To me, social acknowledgement is more just the idea that society recognizes the type of experience that myself and other survivors go through. I think that it's very common for the media and people who haven't been personally impacted by gun violence to assume that the impact just extends to those who were physically injured in the event. But I think that the most long-lasting injuries besides those that are physical are the emotional and mental ones. I'm forever changed by the shooting, whether I like it or not. I'm always going to be more paranoid than my peers. I'm always going to have certain things that trigger me, but I've learned to adapt to that. However, it makes it a lot harder to do that when society doesn't acknowledge the fact that going through something like that is in and of itself very traumatic. So I've always dealt with people telling me I don't deserve the label survivor, people trying to add qualifiers to what a survivor is based on physical injury. And I think that social acknowledgement is really, really helpful for survivors like myself, because knowing that people see your experience as legitimate can very much help you on your healing journey. I think the biggest thing with the public, it's kind of twofold. In the short term, I think the most important thing is to not have any dramatic reactions if you do end up knowing someone who's been through gun violence. One of the worst parts about going through it initially was I am originally not from Florida, so I have a lot of family in different states. So when I would go visit those places, if I said Parkland, people would have a very guttural reaction to that. Whereas if I were to say that before the shooting, no one would know where that was. So I think one of the biggest things in the short term is to just be there as an accepting and understanding source of comfort for people who have survived gun violence, because that can be really uncomfortable for survivors like myself who've just gone through something traumatic like that. And so I really think it's more just understanding that if this is something that you have not personally been through, it's okay to sit back and listen and let people talk before you start asking questions that might be viewed as invasive. That holding back is in and of itself a form of social acknowledgement, because it shows that you understand that it's a very sensitive subject and you don't want to re-traumatize someone.
To hear more from other survivors, visit the Supporting Mass Shooting Survivors website.